Okay.
All right. And then Carlos is the shepherd.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, this came as a surprise for me. So when you wrote to me, Oz, I was like, Lance, of course, I know Lance. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know he's into financial modeling. So let's hit it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I figure we should do a chat. That way, I don't have to double text, each other on
Right.
separate
Right.
separate.
So
So
we set up the group. Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's good. So yeah, so we're all good then. Just about teaching and learning, and I'll introduce myself. That's something I promised us that I had to do in this type of thing. So before us, we were Lance was telling me that I was doing this sort of thing for traffic and all that, but I told him community first, then traffic.
Yes.
So and
I love it.
and I told him about Excel TV that that was the a big hit for people like me, like you, like Lance, like many of us. It was just
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and I'm working on something. I'll show you later, but
Okay.
still, it's a video actually. It's not something big. It's just a video.
Okay.
But so yeah. All right. So we'll start from here then.
All right.
Um, all right, guys. Hello to everybody. This is an awesome opportunity that Oz has that is present here, Oz du Soleil and Lance Rubin, who proposed of getting together and just talk about teaching and learning Excel. And my name is Carlos Barboza. I'm a bilingual Excel craftsman. I love doing things in Excel and solving things in Excel, but it doesn't end there. I also like to share and evangelize the good use of Excel. And here next to me we have Lance Rubin. So Lance, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Carlos. I'm the CEO and founder of Model Citizen. We help businesses solve their most complex problems by helping them make relevant, informed, and purposeful decisions with insight. So for us, we don't really care what tool it is. It's about the decision and what they're going to use and make it. That tool just happens to be our favorite tool called Excel, right?
Yes.
But the point of it, it's not about the tool. It's about the decision. And then it's about how do you train and teach and deliver that message. We actually train our clients on the spreadsheet models. We largely build financial models, three-way models, but we're also doing data and data analysis and Power BI, and the world is just sort of rapidly, going ahead in the data space. So there's no
Oh,
shortage of
Ooh,
content or of learning opportunities, and
that is spooky.
to have conversations with Oz and also yourself,
Yeah.
Carlos, is just inspiring.
yeah,
Man.
yeah, yeah. Big 2 points that I get of your take, Lance. Decision doesn't matter the tool, but just decision support.
Yes.
I like to call it that way instead of dashboards, just decision support tools.
Mm-hmm.
And then the data space that we're heading to that. And
Yes.
yeah, so us, your turn. Yeah.
Меня зовут Оскар Эдуардович. Добрый вечер. Я зову Portland, Oregon. I am Oz du Soleil here in Portland, Oregon. And I'm excited to be talking about Excel stuff with Carlos and with Lance. Yeah. So who am I? I'm some data guy. I've been doing Excel for a long time. I've got the Excel channel, Excel on Fire on YouTube, and I see myself as just a data rogue. I don't have
Gorilla.
yeah, gorilla. Just no, the data's messed up, and we're gonna get it unmessed up, and it might be ugly the way we do it, but it's gonna be effective.
I love
So
those
that's how I see
pauses.
data and Excel. What?
I love those pauses of Excel on your videos. You just make a pause and you're like, "Is my internet or is my Wi-Fi lagging?" And then it's like, it's like, ooh, ah.
my pauses. My pauses. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, we're here to talk about Excel and learning and teaching. And Lance brought up some really cool stuff about more and more data. That's something that my friend Kedra Cheney brought up a few years to me. A few years ago, was that so many more people are having to be analysts, and they were not prepared for that role because there's so much data now. Um,
Right.
and yeah, and how do you teach? I mean, that makes it even tougher to teach somebody who was really good at Twitter, and now they've been promoted to being the social media director for a small company. Now, writing engaging tweets isn't good enough. Now they've got to analyze the data about how effective their tweeting is, or is it just vanity metrics? You
Yeah.
know, you can get a whole bunch of traction, but then do the tractions turn into sales or people showing up to an event? Now, ooh, Lord, and those, they weren't ready for that. So I'm excited to be talking about this.
Nice, nice. Well, that's a good point. Lately, I have been doing tutoring to two two women actually, and they have been, well, they call me to just to build pivot tables, and they call me also to do some stats, statistics task.
Hmm.
But I asked them, well, do you know how to handle Excel? It's like, no, no, this is just, I'm just being assigned this project, or I have been assigned to this leadership. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So, and how's your data skills? Like, I know none. But what I did notice is that they were very communicative. They were very
Yeah,
caring. And I think
yeah,
that's why they're assigned to those projects, because they can lead, and they can lead and communicate people. They might not know the data, maybe they're superiors, but they can trust that she can some way will find out a way to still deliver the project. And
I think that's important, right? I think
yeah,
it's a very good point, Carlos, because one, it's about being the data gorilla, the data cleanser, whatever you want to call it, the analyst, but you've actually got to communicate that, and that's where I think the style, which I love, the way Oz delivers and communicates his training, and I've been in awe with it, and hence why I've now donned a hat, because I'm sort of worshipping someone who you know, is inspiring. So I think the way in which we communicate that data is actually as important as the data itself. And I think that's
yes,
what people forget, right? If you have crap data, yeah, okay. You can still actually communicate a story about, well, why is our data crap? What's the reason behind it? So you can actually still get away with great communication skills and not necessarily have the best data skills, but you need both. And I think that's the point that we're going to cover today is all of this communication around, and learning and understanding and teaching, is a very important part of the data world, which, people are often not taught how to communicate. They're just taught about Excel or statistics or,
oh
or,
Lord,
or analytics.
yeah.
man, that you just said a whole lot there. Because yeah, people can be taught the tool, and I like what you said, Lance, about in your introduction about Excel is just a tool. You got people, processes, tools. That's the trinity. And yeah, you can teach somebody the tool, but then are they really engaged, and are they really ready to own what they're doing with the data and serve the people who live with the consequences of what we do or don't do with the data? And I
Mm.
think of a situation where the small company, uh, and I was supposed to teach somebody how to use a tool that I built. And she kept telling me, Oz, show me the step by step. And I said, there is no step by step. You have a startup company that's small, and you got a whole bunch of ad hoc processes.
Mm.
You have to grab the reins of this thing. I've built the tool. You got to be the person, and you've got to develop the process. And she was so resistant. She kept saying, take me to step by step. And I had to talk with the CEO who said, no, you don't have the right person. But I hired her away from a big school system. The school system where she was an analyst, they had an IT team, they had layers, they had established processes. Here in this company of 10 people, she's got to be the one to make the processes.
Yeah.
She wasn't up for it. She did not want to do it. And it was clear.
Interesting. So that's some that I see that a lot. I see that a lot. The older the person that you teach, the harder it is. I see that, yeah, but because it's harder for them to unlearn and then learn new things, you know.
But I want to be careful about that because, you know, like I was 38 when I first started playing the bass, and I was I was about 40 when I started getting good with Excel. So it's not an age thing. And I've seen this where I've got 2 photographers have taken my Excel classes. One of them, he needs photography examples. The woman, she's getting the concepts and it is beautiful, and she's doing all kind of stuff because she just got the concepts. So I saw it as conceptual people and non-conceptual people. He needed his spoon fed. You give her some concepts, she's off and running.
Carlos, you made a gesture there and you spot on. It's mindset.
It's a mindset.
Age, sex, race. I mean, look at this. We have a South African, a Black American, and a Peruvian, right? You know, like you couldn't get more diverse. Okay, yes, we don't have a female, you know, and there are some great females in the Excel space, we know, as well, you know, Mwanda and Leila Jirani. But the key thing here is actually the mindset and the willingness to learn new stuff. And I like the way you separated there, Oz, the people that want the concepts, and then the people that want to be spoon-fed on the process and sort of, you know, have it laid out.
And to be fair, for the guy photographer, he is a good photographer. I don't want to berate him or think less of him because he's not a data person. But it was a special thing with the lady photographer who, next thing I know, she's using Excel to help sell her house to move from Chicago to California. She was finding all kinds of uses for Excel because she got the concepts. And for the guy, I mean, he's a great photographer, you know.
I think that example really puts into context with the link that I sent you guys about the whole data literacy, the 2 words.
Data literacy.
The literacy, that because if you tell somebody, well, that's the argument of Donald, and I think that was interesting, that if you call somebody data illiterate, you're basically telling the person you're dumb. You don't, and that's could be an insult, of course.
Could be.
But what about if you just replace the 2 words by data informed? Like if you're not informed, then okay, well, I didn't have the right information. Okay, but it sounds better, you know. So that's a good point that he makes on that. I'll post that on the comments, that link to that podcast with Miko Yu. That was a very interesting one. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that, Lance?
Yeah, I mean, I shared one part of that, which I found fascinating, is, a division that's grappling with data, and they're very data focused. You know, unless they have the analysis behind the data, you don't really get the insight and and all the rest. So I think, you know, having an IT, group of IT specialists that are crunching gazillion, terabytes of data, till the cows come home. Well, for what purpose? I recently went, Andre, I forget his surname, put a data visualization on Power BI, because I needed to learn I need to improve my Power BI skills. I need to learn Power BI visualizations as well. it's something I'm working very hard on. And, he had the 7 sins. And I'm like, oh, I've done that. Oh, I've done that. So I think, the key thing, like, having too many colors or you want to make it all colorful. Well, actually less is more. So, being able to communicate and analyze is a skill of itself outside of just wrangling the data. And you need both. Yeah. So I think, it's, as I said before, the communication aspect of and analyzing and getting the insight and the foresight around data is where the value is. And that's where people often fall flat. They say, well, I've got all of this in Power BI and look at all these beautiful dashboards. I'm like, yeah, but what does it tell me? What am I meant to do with it?
Like, what is an example of, okay, so I've got this really great dashboard, and then there's still a question of, okay, but how does that help me?
Oh, the decisions that you make action. So,
but like, what is an action, and what's an example? What's a scenario?
I'll give you one. Oh, sorry, you go, Carlos. You go.
Go. No, go ahead, Lance. You're our guest. So, please.
Well, I don't want to take the whole show and talk the whole time, Carlos. So I ran through one recently with Google Analytics data. So I'm going to stay away from my sort of financial world on balance sheets and P&L and profit and loss. I'm just going to talk about data. And one of the things that we started using is Google Analytics within Power BI. And I connected my own Google Analytics data into Power BI, but then I found that it was difficult for me to train people. So I actually went and grabbed the Excel file, morphed and grew the data within that, randomized the data. So we had like 26 megs of data. And then I wanted to pull it in. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll pull it into this dashboard, but what's my story? What am I going to go with? So rather than just pulling data into a dashboard, I actually have to think about, well, what is the problem? So you start with the problem, and then you get to, okay, if that's the problem, what data do I need to understand that? So my problem is our website hits translating to real value in the business? Are we spending digital marketing and building new apps and building, social media and doing all this stuff? Is it actually translating to value? And if it is value, where's the value? Where can I hone in? Which country? So I've got a bunch of data, and that's got countries around the world, cities around the world. It's split the data by users, gender, male and female, by how are they accessing our website, desktop or tablet or mobile. Are they new or existing? What's the revenue per customer? And what's the total revenue for that region? So now I can sort of get all of that in one dashboard, and I can click different times as well. So I have a slicer which has different periods. And, if you want me to pull it up, I can and show which one I'm talking about. But the point of it is I can actually tell a story.
Right.
So I think that's the point. Like, you've got to be able to tell the story, and the story doesn't, is not just a once upon a time. It has to end in an action. So it's not everyone goes home and live happily ever after. That's not the end of the story. The end of the story in the data world is, this is what you should think about doing next. And let's go and do that. And then let's go see what impact that has on the results. And so data and visualization is not about just a point in time. It's about over time. It's about, we did this during these months. Gee, that didn't have a huge impact. We did this Twitter campaign, in the US during the peak of the coronavirus. Hang on, that went nowhere. But hang on, straight afterwards, we did something and we noticed a spike in customers and new existing, and they all come through on desktop. So why are we going and building a new app for mobile if everyone's coming to our site via desktop? So these are the decisions that management are making that you have to sort of serve up in a platter so they can consume it and feel satisfied.
Right. And what I'm sensing is something more fundamental, because my world has not been much as far as forecasting or suggesting what needs to be done. My world has mostly been data cleansing, and you just reminded me of what is the point here? What am I trying to accomplish? What do I need to know? And there was one of my earliest clients. She said, I need to know these three things. And I went home and I've said, okay, there are probably these other 7 things that will give her deeper insight into the 3 she asked for.
Mm.
I showed it to her, and her exact words were, "This looks smart, but I kind of hate it."
Yeah, I was wondering. That's one of the
Yeah,
beginning. The I think that's season 1. I think I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and right, and there is um, giving people insight. And in another situation for another person that might have been valuable, but for her purposes, she wanted to know which projects um, are late, which ones have started and are on time,
Mm.
and which ones uh, are not scheduled to start yet. So I'm thinking maybe she wants to know like which ones finished on time but started late, and all these different variations on these 3 things that she really wanted to know. And she said for her role and who she needs to answer to, she needed those 3 bits of information that she asked me for, no more.
Mm. Hmm. It's purpose driven. It's all
Yeah,
about the purpose. It's all about
yeah,
the meaning.
the
And
purpose, yeah.
purpose. Yeah. And I just wanted to add to Lance. It was, you already have what's going on the last month, and then okay, then for a dashboard, because you make, I'll make this example, a bullet chart, right? And you say, look, the profitability has been 30% on the last, okay, on the last 6 weeks. All right. But that's not our target. We need to be 40% gross profit. And okay, so then you put the bullet chart. And if you start seeing that it doesn't go above 40, then you jump into action again and make more action and make decisions, and then monitor, decision monitor. But
Mm.
before to get to the decision monitor, you need to build out the dashboard. And before the dashboard comes the data, and then data validation and all those, and data warehousing.
Mm.
And then, yeah. So I
So,
think it's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, this is, I was just sharing the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Just
So
in case, guys, since this is a pro free account with Zoom, it's telling me that in 10 minutes it will end. So let's
Oh,
just, we'll do another one. Okay. So
okay.
yeah, just
my
log out
apologies.
and log back in.
Okay. So it's about 10 minutes from now, just in case. And it's what,
Okay.
so yeah, yeah. And then
So
yeah.
this was the point I was trying to make. So, these are the users and the revenue mix across the globe. This is by city. This is by country.
Mm.
Here we have some of the key metrics. This is revenue in total across all of this. And then this is revenue per customer and number of users. And the 389 is here by the number of users. So we see by existing and new, by device, and by gender. And so I can have a look if, in Australia, what does that look like? So I can see Australia, 6.6 million in revenue, $45 per revenue per customer, and there's 143,000. And, there's a lot of new users, and, there's a bit of desktop. But if I wanted to go to Brazil, sorry, I should have had Peru here, Carlos. But anyway, so I, or Canada, I can start looking at all of these different locations and comparing them. And if I wanted to take India and Germany together, I can do that. Or I want to put Canada and the United States together, I can do that. This is the power of Power BI, the visualization and the interactivity.
Right.
And I'm sure some of this you can do in Excel, but And then, looking at that data set over different timelines. So if I wanted to look at, 2 particular years, Q4, what does that look like? And I wanted to look at that for Australia. I can see all of that. So yeah, I mean, it's about that story of fortunately for me, I'm building a training program using it. I can create the story, I can create the problem, but the point is connecting those two for people so they can actually get it is the key, because you just show them a dashboard and they say, oh, that looks really nice, but they don't actually get the connection between what's the problem. And I think that's critical in terms of learning and teaching, is really to understand that problem really deeply. So I think Oz, in that case with that woman, she clearly didn't communicate exactly what her problem was. It was her, it was just for her, not for the whole company.
Well, no, it's a dance, right? As I'm the consultant on the outside, and she asked me for 3 things, and I deliver 7 more than she asked for. I mean, she articulated clearly. But I'm thinking as a data person, and now with another client in another situation, they have appreciated the added insight.
Yeah.
So it's as much about a communication as it is also as much about ego and me being willing to listen to her and trust. She asked for 3 things. She just wants those 3 things.
Those are very strong points. Ego, listening, consulting is a dance. Yes, it is a dance. Consulting is a dance. It's not straightforward. It's not, I mean, you can have a book, you can have principles, but at the end of the day, you still, you dance and you improvise and you go
hear
with
that
the flow.
And want to be starting something. You got to be starting something, right? You got to dance.
That's right.
Hey guys, let's do right now. Just switch it to the I'll close this one and I'll send you through LinkedIn another link. Okay,
all right.
So we can connect to that one. I'll do it quick.
Yeah, and Carlos, we should probably just get back onto the agenda.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Good thing this is being recorded also. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Okay, now you're next to me. Lance is okay, there it is. Lance is there too. Lance is connecting again, so that was a good pause.
So what time is it in Lima?
Right now it's 9:44 p.m. 9:44.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, we're only 2 hours apart,
that's all. Okay. So you're same time as Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But Lance is ahead of us about 2 p.m.
I'm on the weekend, boys. I'm already on the weekend.
Yeah, on the weekend. Yeah.
Don't show the beers.
Hey, it's early. I ain't drinking beer at 12 o'clock.
Shoot, man, it's time for whiskey. But anyway, all right. So Lance suggested we get on track, get focused. Okay.
Yes. I know. This could go for long. So
yeah, that's right. Because we wanted to talk about learning and education and we got into some of that because of the challenges, like dealing with that woman who kept saying, tell me the step by step. There is no step by step. People, processes, tools. You got no process.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Holy Trinity. I love that. So Lance, we'll start with you. So we'll do, if you can share with us 2 tips about teaching, 2 things about learning Excel and teaching Excel, and 1 about delivery or just sharing or on a training tip for people who are watching this. So
great. Thanks, Carlos. So I'll start on the learning front, because to be honest, you can't teach until you learn yourself. And if you don't know how to learn, then you know, you're not going to be a great teacher. And one of the challenges with learning is that, and also teaching, is that we all do it differently. And I think this is the great thing about having this conversation, because we'll all have a little twist on it. So for me, learning is about doing, right? You know, yes, there's some great books out there in terms of reading. Oz has written some great ones with Bill Jelen. Danielle's written a few on, you know, financial modeling for dummies. I've never been,
Oh yeah,
Data Gorilla, there it is. I'm not a book person. I'm not. I never have been. I didn't enjoy reading. Yes, I've read some other great books recently. You know, I get different things from books, but when it comes to learning Excel, it's about, I need to get my hands dirty. So I may not grab Oz's book on Data Gorilla, but by God, am I going on to Excel on fire to learn about some of the new crazy stuff that's out there. And so, you know, for me, learning is about doing, seeing and doing.
Okay.
And so that's the first point. You know, I don't feel like I've achieved anything on a learning sense unless I've built something, unless I can actually see that I've done something. I've taken this blank sheet and I've created a dashboard, or I've you know, wrestled this data into shape. You know, I feel like I've learned something and applied, you know, not a VLOOKUP, I've applied XLOOKUP as an example, right? So, you know, how do I do what I did with index match and VLOOKUP? But no, I'm not going to use those two. I'm going to push myself into the XLOOKUP world and go there. And so I think that's the application. The other thing is recognizing that learning is a journey, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very important to recognize that learning's a journey. So many times people have said to me, oh, where did you, you know, what book can I read? Where can I go? What are the shortcuts? What you know, like, how can you help me? In the end, I can only help you get to a certain stage. In the end, for me, you've got to learn continuously. So for me, the learning side is recognizing that, yeah, right now, dynamic arrays and XLOOKUP are the two hottest things that are in the Excel world. But you know, things are going to evolve throughout that. Certainly for me, I mean, Oz, maybe he's in the inside channel. He may be familiar with other stuff that's coming down the pipe. But in the end, it's about learning as a journey. So I think, you know, recognizing that the best way you learn is through doing, and through doing means making mistakes. If you don't make a mistake, you're not learning. And so if you're not making mistakes and saying, oh God, how did Oz do that? I've got to go back to his video now because I stuffed mine up, right? Now, no question, coming now to the training side, it's the same thing. Like if I'm trying to train people, and unless I give them something practical, I can sit there and talk as much as I want. But in the end, I want to see them put, well, I was going to say pen to paper. I want to see them put keyboard to spreadsheet and type stuff and build stuff. Because if they're not doing that as a teacher, then I don't feel like I've served them well. I can give them whatever models and all the rest and give them videos. But I think, and that'll work for some people, but not for everyone. So I think, you know, the only way to do that is practical as well from a teaching perspective. Yeah. The other thing which sort of Oz reminded me when he was, what's that?
No, good points. Good points. Good points.
Oh, okay. The other thing which Oz reminded me just then when he was talking about the female client that he had, she wanted the step-by-step stuff. When you're teaching, whether we like it or not, whether it's frustrating as hell, it is, people sometimes just want to go really slow. Like, whoa, go slow. And unfortunately, when you're in a group, because a lot of the training that I do is actually face-to-face in larger group settings, you have to go the speed of the slowest person, right? And as painful as that might be, I mean, I've had workshops where people are on Excel 2003, and I'm like, you need to get an upgrade. You know, like it's not okay that you know, like it's fine, I understand, but if you want to learn some of these new things, you've got to get with the program. So one, it's going at their pace, but recognizing that everyone, you know, is going to learn kids, and slower is going to frustrate those that want to go quick as well. But, they're not the important thing. I think, they will learn from you anyway. They'll get it very quickly. And they want to move on to the next thing. But there are people in the audience who just don't. So going slower, zooming in, right? So slow down and zoom it up, right? That's the key. On the delivery side, in terms of delivering any sort of knowledge, I'll say be real. Like, just be human. Like, make mistakes. Like, the amount of times that I've made mistakes actually teaching and someone's corrected me in the audience, you could almost say, oh my God, that's terrible. Like you're meant to be the teacher. You're not meant to make mistakes. We're all human. We've got to laugh about it. And we've got to say, you know what? You're right. That is one way of doing it. The beautiful thing about Excel is that there are so many different ways to get to the same answer, right? If you want to add numbers together, you can go, sum product divided by, or you can go average times by, you can do sum, you can go equals each cell by cell. There's a whole range of things you can do. It's just doesn't mean it's wrong, but everyone is different. So be real, make mistakes, just be human. This is what this is about. This podcast is about, trying to deliver training and just being human, and sometimes saying shit that you don't want to say or people don't want to hear. But you know what? They're going to be better for it at the end. And I think that's the important thing. If you're not open and honest and real with people, then they're not going to learn. So delivery is important, to be truthful, honest, and be human.
Just in case, Lance, you gave me a little bit of editing homework. When I edit this video, when you just said the S word, I'm just gonna put a beep.
What? No. Come on now. People are grown. Jesus. Okay. Anyway.
It could be worse, Carlos. The S word is not bad. Come on.
No. But that's a good thing. Just being human and just telling people that I just communicating to your students, to your audience, that you were there once.
What we all are. We're still here.
We're still here.
Yeah. That just because you're teaching doesn't mean you've stopped learning. This is the point that people think. They think that, oh, geez, you're an expert. You never need to learn again. No, that's not true. You always need to.
But
good
thinking about that, about being human, there's more to unpack there. And now I'm coming from what I've done in the world of improv, stand-up, and in storytelling, where comics will say it'll take you 7 years to find your voice. And that's 7 years of constantly going on stage, being up, going to open mics and playing to drunks at 2:30 in the morning after you've been there since 8 p.m. It takes 7 years of that to find your voice, because, when you get up in front of people, that is a character. You might not want to be there, but you are in charge of the room for those people who have shown up to learn something.
That's true.
Yeah, so that was the second level of improv that we learned, is we are responsible for the audience's experience. And maybe I found out that my car needs $1,000 repair just 2 hours ago. That's where Oz is. But Oz teaching Excel, or Oz on the improv stage, they do not give a damn about my $1,000 car repair. They showed up for improv or for Excel. And so what is that character that I have to find? And yes, it's genuine, but it takes years of digging to find that genuine place and break through barriers. Because you can go back and look at my early Excel videos, and they are the dry, get in, get out, show you some stuff, be done.
Yeah.
And then I realized I don't want to make that kind of stuff. That for me is like the guy making chocolate chip cookies who hates chocolate chips cookies. Yeah, they're popular, but how sustainable is this?
Emotionally, yeah.
Yeah, but I had to break through. I had to let go and take some risks. And do people want the style that I want to do that's sustainable for me? And if people say no, then we just don't have any more here to do. Because I certainly cannot be the dry in and out guy. Here is some ifs and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not me. I'm an entertainer.
Yeah.
I realize that. I like to have fun. If I'm gonna sit here and edit video, it's got to be fun for me. So, when I hear, but it's not about you. Well, in some ways it is if I've got to be the one delivering it.
Yeah.
Now, then there's a line you cross into self-indulgent or not concerned about the audience's experience. Okay, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna be an activist, right? I'm gonna show you the right way to do Excel. All your objections, damn all that stuff. No, I'm showing you the right way. And okay, just irritate folks and create all kind of trouble and stuff. So there again, there is that dance. There's that back and forth. The teacher, the learner, the consultant, and the client. How can we work together? And sometimes we can't work together. I know that my YouTube style is not for everybody, and that's okay.
I've got to jump in there, Oz. Carlos, have you seen Oz's index match V video where he sort of waves a turkey foot and talks about a whole bunch of stuff and about this is Excel. It's not a religion.
Right.
The index match folks and the VLOOKUP folks are coming down from the hill with their manifesto. Yeah. And it's like a battle. And this is the way he said it. It was like, oh my God, this guy's brilliant. That was the one video that took me to a place I've never been with Excel.
Yes.
Thank you, my friend, because you did that. That day that I saw that, I'm like, wow.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. That means a lot, really. I appreciate that because it was a risk to step out of the straightforward in and out tutorials to teaching. And so much, I love teaching and sharing knowledge, and some of it comes from playing bass and learning a lot from Victor Wooten, going to his bass camp that happens in Tennessee. He uses a lot of analogies. He steps away from the instruments sometimes and has discussions about music. It's hard if we always have our instruments in our hands. We can't step away and listen sometimes and discuss decisions that we made and how those decisions could be better. And something else I think about is the obscene, the obscena, the away from the main scene, right? Because Excel is the grid, the formulas, the pivot tables and everything. Yeah, the matrix. But then away from the main scene, you start talking about layout and strategy and what happens if things break and when do you have to think efficient versus get some stuff done and move on. All of that strategy stuff. That's what I want to bring to Excel. There are people teaching some ifs and unpivot and stuff, but I want to talk about when the shit breaks, now what? Now what? Or what is your strategy going to be? All right. you're going to do this long, complicated thing when you got a one and done need. Write a formula, drag that bastard down, copy, paste his values, move on, done.
Oh, that's an edit right there, Carlos.
Yeah, right. That's gonna be censored. Yeah, that's promoted violence.
This has become a bit of R-rated physical fighting going on.
Yeah, no, what's happening? What's happening here? So
that's the beautiful stuff to me, is not the main scene, but the obscene. Learning bass. Okay, I can get the notes to learn how to play Skin Tight. Okay. Y'all know Skin Tight, right? Yeah. Ohio players. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
Sorry.
so you can play the notes, but then there is, how does this connect to the drums? Playing this, how am I not having all of the strings ringing at the same time? I got to mute my strings down here with my right hand so that this music sounds good. And what if there is a certain part in that bass line that is just too tricky for me to get at my level of musicianship? Where can I cut corners and still make the music sound good? And that's where a good teacher comes in, a good coach, the kind of stuff that is away from the main scene, but is still critical to making things work.
Is how do you call the person that the coordinates the orchestra?
Orchestrator.
The orchestrator.
The conductor.
Yeah, the conductor. That's one thing I learned about being in venture capital on my 3-month journey. Being in a venture capital firm is that you trade hats. You're one day an accountant, the other day you are the marketing head, the other day you're the CTO, another day you're sales, and and I think we compare that to Excel freelancing. It's the same thing. You go with the dance and you go with coordinating things, and you are also a psychologist because you have to figure it out what the client wants, and you have to listen, and you have to and that part I enjoy, but sometimes being the psychologist of a situation, it is also another art. It's another feel. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
A quick
Reading the
pause
tea
here.
leaves, I think, as they call it.
Yeah. I just want to share this right now. I don't know if you guys are seeing it. Let me know.
Not seeing it yet. Okay. Here we go. It's coming now. Oh.
All these videos, I haven't seen them all, okay? But I have noticed that, for example, if I see the titles, be aware of the ghost peppers. You know, I saw that one. Oh my God. There's a couple other ones like what's it called? You know, what is crap data? You know, it just brings your attention, you know. But the one that Lance was talking about is right here. If people want to see it, it's a minute 57. That's the turkey food. The voodoo turkey food, you know. Be careful, guys. I'll post this, man. That talk, that's number 47. And I don't know if that's the last one, but wow, that was a hell of a talk. That was a hell of a talk. And then, I mean, so people, I think this is your transition, Oz, because
that was a transition.
Yeah, I think this is where you started to flirting with just being us. But even though, if you watch the first episodes of Excel TV, you still see the same Oz. It's just, he's the one to bring in the humor to the conversation, you know. Jordan and Rick also as well, but I think at some points Oz goes a little bit over the edge, and I think for me, like, I don't mind it. It's just like, yes, you know, like, it's true, it's human, you know. So
what does it mean to be human, you know?
Because
a hard time I had with freelancing is you know, having a client bitching me out about something, and then I am trying to be the professional here and not get into a pissing match. having, somebody say, why did you spend all of yesterday working on that? That's not what I needed. And I want to say, why the hell did you spend 2 hours on the phone with me on a screen share showing me that? All these details, everything. That's what I thought you wanted me to recreate. I know I didn't say that. I just said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to fix this by tomorrow. Yeah, you better fix it. The human in me wanted to say, don't call me no more, and hang up the phone. So there's this constant tug of, being professional, being human, being somebody in a civilized society who needs to make money, and finding a comfortable, responsible place to be in all of that.
I think that's what we're seeing nowadays with this whole COVID situation.
Yes.
A lot of people just giving out their courses for free. Other people are just helping out with doing meetups, virtual meetups, and those will have some sort of cost, but now they're making it free. I just got an email, and I don't know if it's true, Oz, you can confirm, but the Microsoft Application Summit now is apparently free. It's told me that I can register, and
I don't know.
No? Yeah.
I don't know.
I got an email saying that there's no cost.
Okay.
I mean, there was no cost, an indication of cost, but
okay.
Yeah. So Oz,
Was that
what
the one
would
in
be...
London? Was that
I think it's the yearly one, but I think the one that happens in Atlanta, I will have to look at the email again. But
Ignite?
Let me see.
I don't know.
I'll check my email real quick, but I think yeah, I'm just checking my email right now. It's the Microsoft Business Application Summit digital event, the one that is on May 6th. And it doesn't say where it was supposed to happen because things change, but it seems like free, and cool.
I didn't know about that. But you were going to ask me a question.
Yeah, so what would be your two things? I mean, you have pretty much talked many of them, but if you want to recap or maybe extend to 2 teaching tips, 2 learning tips, and 1 delivery for the audience.
Learning and teaching, a lot of that ties together because I do think about good teaching, good situations I've had as a learner and awful ones, and thinking about why some worked and others didn't. And for me, and what I like is give me what I need to know to be effective. Because use an example of like showing me the notes for a baseline or showing me how to do a pivot table. That does not teach me how to be in a band or how to deliver meaningful information to somebody. Over here with the data, did I clear out the duplicates? How can I check the quality of this data? All of that stuff goes into, here's a nice slick looking pivot table versus, you're playing the right notes to the baseline, but you're playing with a drummer who is not keeping up. You got to be a teammate over here. I've had a situation in a jazz band where the flutist, she always missed the cue for her solo. So the drummer and I knew to unite. And when she started, we would move the rhythm section to the flutist because she would never find us. But we could be right and keep moving and have shitty music playing with a flutist that's way ahead or way behind us. So that's the kind of stuff that's exciting for me as a learner and to teach. And this also became evident when I showed a pivot table for the first few times in a live class, and people seemed disappointed. And then I realized they don't know the why. They don't know the when. They are often dealing with data that is not ready to go into a pivot table. That's the blockage.
Mm.
So when I start showing that kind of stuff and doing things on my YouTube channel, talk about gotchas. What happens when you do something in Power Query and then it doesn't work the next time? Well, it's because, watch, Power Query hard coded something. And now here's how we got to work around that.
Mm.
That's the juicy stuff. That's the sexy stuff.
Sexy and juicy. Sexy and juicy.
That's all you need. That's all this world needs is if we would focus on sexy and juicy.
Yes.
That's everybody be happy. But no, we got to think about other things. We got to think about carpentry and roads and potholes and things. But if we thought about sexy and juicy.
I think just to complement that point, is that a lot of people have the data this way, but they should have it this way, right? Horizontal and vertical. And I think it's because the only people who know how data should be structured are software engineers, computer science. Is the only major where you will learn one basic database principles, The other majors, yeah.
And that's the interesting thing about Excel users, and why Excel users excite me is because we are the cowboys. We're the rogues, the scalawags, because the database people, that's their job.
Yeah.
The Excel people, a lot of us have been thrown into that. I was unemployed and was angry when a temp agency sent me to go work in a call center. And then I wound up working with Excel. I didn't pick that. And a lot of the MVPs and the who's who in the Excel world, a lot of us did not pick Excel. We were on some line between IT and the business. And I wonder what you all's experience was. Did you all, you're like 8 years old eating ice cream, thinking I'm going to be an Excel professional.
An Excel guy, an Excel hero.
I wanted to be a doctor. I actually wanted to be a doctor and be in medicine and help people and save people. And then I hit a hurdle, which was languages. And I didn't. In South Africa, you had to learn English, Afrikaans, and Zulu. And I was pretty crappy at languages, but I love numbers. So I'm like, to hell with that doctor stuff. I'm gonna go numbers. And so I became an accountant because that's the sort of discipline in numbers.
Yeah.
And never in my life did I ever think that I'd be building a business around this tool called Excel. In fact, when I started, I had Lotus and Excel, and I sort of used Lotus maybe 2 or 3 times, and then kind of went to Excel and then never looked back. And so Excel's followed me throughout my career, from being an accountant, an auditor, an investment banker, building financial models for IPOs and corporate finance, and that's sort of how I've landed in the Excel world, because now I've just realized, well, hang on, I've got these skills, but a lot of people need these skills. I've just sort of ventured down this rabbit hole. Yeah. And so why don't I leverage that? Why don't I jump out of the corporate world, start my own business and live the dream, right? Yeah. The dream of dictating what you do, when you do it, and the never ending journey of knowledge, right? I find that when you get into corporate, that knowledge journey gets stifled because you're sort of wrangling with data, or you don't have the time, or you have the database manager who says you can't do that, or you can't get this program, or they don't want to upgrade you to Excel, 365. You're still stuck in, 2013, which is probably one of the worst versions of Excel. So, it's a challenge.
Yeah. And I'm curious about Carlos's experience, but you said a whole lot of interesting stuff there about, well, anyway, Carlos.
Well, I just got another warning saying in 10 minutes meeting will end. So just in case, guys, we got about like 6-7 minutes. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Bini, what were you saying also about continuing
about how Excel, the who's who in Excel world are Excel professionals? We didn't pick this. Somehow we took the reins of something that we was sitting on top of.
Yeah, right. So just to connect what Lance said about jumping into your own, because you realize, hey, look, everybody used this tool differently, but everybody needs some sort of assistant in how to use it effectively.
Yeah.
And it seems like when you convert into that Excel rodeo person who can handle any type of data sets, any sort of challenge, but it's because you have the Excel mindset of solving it. Like either you can do columns, or you can do array formulas, or you can do I'll do it in a pivot table, or I'm doing a BBA.
But I'm asking more going back about how this started for you. You didn't grow up thinking I'm going to be an Excel professional. How did Excel wind up being your thing?
Well, let's see. Well, I think we have less than 5 minutes, but if I wrap it up I would say that flexibility and the freedom within one tool to do a lot. I mean, because when you realize, maybe because
no, I'm asking something different. Like when I say I do Excel today because somebody showed up, hired me to work in a call center where I did not want to be. And now I wound up having to use a lot of Excel. And then there's all these problems. And then Excel it kind of picked me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I get what you mean. Well, yes, if I give you the whole context of the story, it was like that. I jumped into a company that produces irons and blenders and all that. And they wanted to do a data mining project, right? But usually it was just getting the information of sales from point of sales from the stores, because they didn't have the data very well organized. And I started there, and I had somebody who was more proficient in Excel, way more than me at that time, 2012. But the guy, after the first 2 weeks of the project beginning, he left the company just like that, really abruptly. And the guy above, which is the operations manager, just told me, hey, look, can you continue the project? Can you leader it? And you will be, and that was I don't know what happened. I just had a golden opportunity. I was offered from being an analyst and just to head, and I'm like, I say yes because like everybody, at some point they don't want to say no because you don't want to look bad, or maybe you lose your job. I say yes, I can do it. But then big stress came afterwards. I was presenting, but it was all the process was very manual. And I was like, this cannot be like that. I had to I think my mindset just transformed in some sort of way. Like there needs to be a faster way. There needs to be something that is comprehensive. It can't be like this, right?
You were engaged in it versus feeling put upon.
Yeah. Just because I say yes to the project, but then I tell you, I had couple of days and maybe weeks of really just frustration, crying, frustration. But then when I discover my Gervin, Excel is fun on YouTube, and then when I discovered Chandu, and I just indulge. I just binge reading, binge watching all the stuff that we're putting out, and everything just I felt the connection. I felt that okay. Did I answer your question though?
Yes, yes.
Because I think the way they say sharks, how do sharks learn swimming? They don't, right? Once they're born, that's it. They jump into the sea, right? I think that's what happened to me. I was just thrown out into the sea and just like, hey, look, you know,
yeah. Very different from this database people are the, you know, the data scientists and stuff. Very different path.
Yeah.
Hey, do guys, it out of survival. I think we've all done it to survive, and I think that's the point.
But we give a damn. That's the other thing, right? Because you could be the person who feels put upon, who says, I signed up, like I could say, I signed up to answer the phones.
Yeah.
All this data stuff, no. I answer the phones, I take orders, I answer questions about classes. But after so many people call up with all kinds of problems that came back to the same issue, and it was the data, I made a decision. And it was in service of those people. It wasn't even about Excel. It was about being in service of those people whose lives had turned sideways because of our data.
You sort of found purpose that you can serve. I mean, sometimes the way
it kind of found me. I felt like I'd be irresponsible. I would be a low down wretch if I hung up the phone and just took another call and didn't try to help those people.
Yeah.
I'd wind up in the depths of hell, forgotten about.
With your turkey leg.
With
the voodoo. Hey guys,
this is what y'all need.
Yes. Hey guys,
keep on.
There's less 1 minute and we come back again. Okay.
All right.
1 second.
All right.
record and all right guys. Okay. So just continue this third part.
All right.
I know we've been over like 80 minutes, so I think we just do like to wrap up and because we can talk for time. We can talk and talk. So just to finish, what would be your 2 tips on teaching, learning, and delivery?
I don't know if I have what would fit the criteria, but a big thing for me is in teaching is what it would take to be responsible and functional. Teaching the plumbing of something isn't enough.
Okay.
People need to know what happens when the plumbing breaks or you don't have the right stuff, but you still got to perform.
Okay.
That's what I feel is important in being a good teacher and in being a good learner, is demanding what happens when things don't go the clean way when I go out in the real world. What then?
Okay. And how about delivery? What would be your delivery tip?
Delivery,
when training
that is an individual thing. And I like what Lance said about failing.
Yeah.
I had a stand-up instructor say, you will bomb, you must bomb. That's the only way you're going to get better. So
Amen.
Forgive yourself. Work on finding your genuine voice. It's not going to happen early. Accept that. Accept that, like Picasso, those masterpieces didn't come out early, and then they didn't come out all at once. There was a whole lot of stuff that went in the garbage along the way. You're going to throw a lot of stuff in the garbage.
It is a journey. It's a journey of up and downs, and then on the downs, you have to take all that you can.
Yeah.
As learning. Okay. Well, from my end, my two tips on, because as Lance said, you first need to learn and then teach. I would say that learning, find your style. First of all, if you are a visual learner, you are reading learner, or you are kinetic learning by doing. But for example, for me, it's visual. So YouTube has been my guard angel at many times. Really, just learning, not just watching one video, but watching many out of to the same problem in order to really get the whole picture of the solutions. And then the second tip of learning will be books. You know how they say that reading Harry Potter is not the same as watching the movie? I think that's very true with learning Excel with books. And Lance, I'll recommend you this book if you haven't got it. Edward
Oh
Tufte.
yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, I mean this book is like I say, books is just reading the pages. I think it's even it's Edward's there on the photo. I
The
mean,
top, yeah.
you get very intimate with, even with Oz book right here. Look all these bookmarks. Look at all that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, you get intimate about switching the pages, and you also have the opportunity to go at your own pace. Meaning,
Yeah.
for people who learn slow and people who learn fast, but the book's still there. You can highlight,
Yeah.
you can, and then loop. And same
Yeah.
goes with YouTube. You can rewatch, rewind. Some days you don't
Yeah.
want to learn, some days you do want to learn. You have that liberty. And then for
Yeah.
teaching, I said, and just really, I guess, don't be boring. Just try to be humor. Try to bring humor. Try to level up to whom, whatever you're speaking to. If there are operations, level up to operations. If they're more managerial, okay, level up to managerial. But yeah, don't try to stay away from being dry and just very like by the book, by the instruction. Step one, step two. No, try to be dynamic. And then another tip on just teaching will be share. Share. If you see something that is valuable for others, just share it. I mean, that's why you have social networks. Just share it and share as much as you can. If you find it, just don't stop, because really it will make more connections some way. It will, hey, I saw this that you posted and really helped me out. I felt like it just landed from the sky, and like, oh, okay, cool. So, and then delivery, it will be the metaphor. Just be very just use a lot of metaphors on your trainings. Just like I always say that whenever you do merchant center in Excel, you're worshiping the devil. Some people are like, what is that? What do you mean? It's like, yes, you don't do that. You killing cells. You killing. They
You're
have
killing
rights.
cells. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
They
right.
have rights. They have rights, and you're
Yeah.
killing them.
Right.
That's
That's right.
genocide. So, and people really connect. Worshiping the devil. Then
Mm.
there's some sort of connections to that. And yeah, and analogies. Yeah, analogies, metaphor, and you use that, and people are gonna connect. And that's what you need. You need to really connect with your thoughts, your knowledge, to their brains, to their perception. And yeah, that's about it. That's about it from my side. Yeah.
Lance.
Good. Well, thanks. So yeah, I guess wrapping up. It's great to hear all of you give some tips around analogies. Is a great way of dumbing it down and getting it back to those different levels. So that's a really good one, Carlos. But yeah, I mean, I've been inspired by Oz's personality, just the way he delivers stuff. And so I guess, and even today, right, you could see it. None of my interactions with Oz is ever boring. Like I can never say, that Oz guy, gee, he's really boring. Like that's not something that comes up in a conversation. So, and I think that's really important, not just for teaching and delivery, but for learning as well, because if it's boring, you're not going to go at it. You're not going to continue pushing it. And so I think you've got to make it exciting. You've got to find the gold nugget. You've got to sort of look beyond just the problem and say, oh, wow, okay, if I solve this problem, then actually I could do that same process somewhere else and apply that somewhere else. So actually, I'm not just solving a problem, I'm building knowledge. Yes. And I think that's what people need to do when they start learning. I find that people learning Excel, it's like, oh, give me the list of all the Excel formulas and I'll go and learn them. I'm like, or shortcut keys. I love shortcut keys. I'm like, they said, oh, can you give me a list of it? I said, yeah, I can give you a list, but that's not going to help you. You need to use it. So, you don't, why do you learn? You learn to gain knowledge. You don't learn just to read. You learn to gain knowledge. And so that's the important thing about knowledge is gained through, doing it and finding exciting and applying it. And to Oz's point as well, when he says, if you're not helping people when the stuff goes wrong, then you're not actually teaching them because you're just sort of giving the Band-Aid solution. And I think that's the key. In learning and teaching, you've got to think beyond just the problem that you have in front of you. You've got to think about, okay, why is this a problem? Why do I need to solve it? And even just the method of problem solving gives you that momentum to solve more complex, more difficult problems. If you shy away from those very early problems and continue to answer the phone in a call center, well, you're not going to become an Oz du Soleil, are you?
No.
I think that's the key thing. Like take that opportunity to learn and see it as a challenge. A growth mindset, as they would say.
Yeah.
Growth mindset.
Yeah.
Yep. Be a sponge. Grab it up, everything that you can. And And last one last quote is heard it from somebody a long time ago was if there's something that doesn't make you poor or poorer is sharing knowledge. So
all right.
Yeah.
Cool. This has been a great conversation.
Hey, that's a good that's a big glass of martini.
Try whiskey.
Yeah, it's probably whiskey.
See,
right?
I try to cheer y'all and you want to talk about my glass. Come on, I'm trying to. All right.
I like it.
Cool.
All right, Lance, until next time, guys. Just let me know.
That's right.
What other subject we can share to the audience.
Yeah.
We all three do our own things.
It's been a lot.
It's been
a lot.
Yeah,
okay.
It's been a lot. I have to edit it, I have to censor those bad words and the swearing.
Don't.
No, I'm kidding.
Let it fly.
I'm putting in everything.
Let it hang.
I'm kidding. Usually that's why my channel is called that way. Recalc or die. People are like, what is that? It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Usually my mom and all my family, when they see the skull, they're like, oh, what is that? Why the skull? It's like,
yeah.
And I have to explain them. It's funny.
Yeah.
But all right, man.
All right, cool.
All right, gentlemen.
See you guys.
Good conversation.
Until next time. Yes.
All right.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Cheers.